Welcome back to the channel. Finally, here it is, my Range Rover Sport. It's 2019 Range Rover Sport, or I should say Range Rover Sport. And this is the supercharged dynamic trim for this model year. I think in the later years, they kind of did away with it and sort of rebranded it into what's called the HSE P525. Which means 525 means you got the higher output engine. So this, obviously you can see the color. It is a Santorini black metallic. And when you see this color in bright sunlight, I think that's where the color really shines. I mean, and I think really the color shows off itself. But you see the pearl, you see the flake in it, the metallic flakes just really brings it out. The interior color is called Eclipse / Ebony. So the Eclipse is like a blue color, and obviously Ebony has some black accents, some suede accents. Is really gives it a different look. So what brought me to the Range Rover? Okay, if you follow the channel, I know that there's a lot of people who hated me from getting this car. I know there's some people who, obviously welcomed and curious about what's happening. But I've received a lot of people were like, why'd you do this? Why'd you do this? And I'm gonna explain the reasons why I went this route. Number one, first, I've always been curious about the Range Rover. I have been scared of getting into one because of their history. And the three is, they cost a lot of money to buy. This one's sticker at $101,000. It has a lot of options. I would say it's pretty loaded up you can do for a supercharged dynamic trim before you upgrade to autobiography. But I've seen some autobiographies that didn't have as many features as this one. So it kind of goes hand in hand. Right away, you can see the 22-inch wheels. These are, I think, 912s, but these are 22-inch wheels, which I wanted for the Range Rover. I was looking for one. See, it's got the red brakes that, for this year model, it sort of gave away that this was the, has a 5-liter supercharged V8. Supercharged V8 is 518 horsepower. And I think my wife and I, we test drove one years ago when I had my black X5. I was going to trade. We're going to just get one of these brand new and to sticker one of these up. It was just expensive, but I remember driving the V8, and the first time I stepped on it, coming from a VX5, I was like, wow, this thing is just very vocal. I mean, anytime you're in the car, anybody outside the car is going to know this is a V8. And when you step on it, it just makes just the noise that it produces. It sounds very British muscle-like, if I can put that into a perspective. But it screams. It's got the black package, so all these little accents here, we blacked out, black mirrors, which is hard to tell because of the black Santorini paint, but you can tell that these are black because they don't have the metallic in it. The front end, obviously the Range Rover letters, the grills can be blacked out, and then some more blackout on the rear where it says Range Rover as well. You can also opt to get a black roof, which this one doesn't have, but it doesn't look anything different because the car is black. So there's different trims and different combinations. I've always thought BMW was one of the ones that you couldn't see more in Porsche. And I didn't realize how Range Rover is you can customize so much with these that just to give you an example, I looked at a couple of Range Rovers and I was like, you know what, I like that one, but I like that color. Couldn't find one, and I realized I should have bought that one at the time. It was a silver one. It had everything I wanted in it. I mean, literally every single option I wanted. Having had the third row seat that I probably would use at some occasional times, but it is what it is. So let's get more into this one. I bought this one. I bought the Range Rover. I left the X5 reason. I know that these cars compete hand in hand, but think this way. For a while, I've been talking about a truck. I wanted a truck. I like how when you drive a truck, you get that solid feeling, like you are driving something solid, safe, you're up high. And I wanted something I wanted to be able to drive off road. I mean, obviously I know the X5 can do it. It can go off road, but when I drove it to the beach, I didn't like how the M suspension, you know, trying to go out there, and you know, you feel like that you're taking sort of a car off-road. It makes sense. But yeah, I want to go off the beaten path. There were times we rented an Airbnb, and I was going to drive the M3. My wife says, nope, don't drive the M3. You actually should probably bring the X5 because of the way that Airbnb, some of these driveways, when you go up to these mountains, it was really rough and it was off-road and it was tough. I drove the X5 through there, and I realized I had to really tiptoe into some of these areas. Everybody else had like the Explorers, Rams that were staying with us, or friends we were with, and I realized, man, this is not the, when I buy the SUV, I wanted something that do those things. The M version of that, like I said, it can do it. It's just not the best, not the comfortable. The suspension is set up for track handling than anything else. So I got that out of the way. I wanted something comfortable. We know trucks don't ride comfortable. Trucks ride like trucks. They're just have a rougher ride. So that sort of was, you know, that was one thing I was looking for. But I know you can get some half tons that can do comfort. My next thing that bothered me, or next thing that I wanted with my next vehicle when I was looking for a truck or some type, I wanted air suspension. I think air suspension really helps out when you're towing. You know, it just seems to level things out a little bit easier. I'm not going into more dynamics of the towing and how to set things up with everything else, but I just know air suspension just makes it a little bit, sets things up a little bit more level. I know that's an option with some of the Rams and things like that, but so that was something else I wanted. Also, air suspension, you get a little bit of ride quality. Next thing I wanted something with high tow capacity. I do take my car to the track, and we are talking about getting a travel trailer at some point. I wanted something that had some decent amount of payload. I wanted something that was strong. Looked at it around trucks, came back to the Range Rover, and I was like, you know, I started looking more and more about these. And guess what? This has, when you drive behind the wheel, you get that truck feeling. Just the way you sit behind it, you get a really commanding feel behind that steering wheel. That's the best way to describe it. Commanding. Feels like I am above everything else that's around me. Cars, anything else. I feel like if I had to drive off road, I can do it. This has a true four-wheel drive system. It's not an all-wheel drive car-based system. This is a true four-wheel drive system. So being an SUV, I already have a sports car. Having an SUV, knowing that if I want to drive over that field right there, I can do it. If I want to go off road, I can do it just fine. I'm not going to be worried about scraping my car. The suspension can raise up to a higher ride height. I can wade in water, probably just as high as this fender, this door here. This doors are double sealed. There's options if I was in mud and ruts and I were to get high centered, and I'm already in the highest ride height I can get. This Range Rover can sense that. And when it realizes it's high centered, it gives you an option that's not selectable inside the car. It'll tell you that the car is rising to its extended height. And at that point, I can get out of everything. As far as comfort, I love how comfortable this was. It's got two-axle air suspension. The comfort mode just feels like you're just riding on a cloud. The way it just glides over some of the bumps. It absorbs everything you need. You have the dynamic mode, so when I throw it into a curve, it won't body roll. It seems I haven't pushed it in a corner like I would drive the X5, but I have driven it into a corner hard, and I was like, wow, this thing, it really doesn't lean at all. And I think the only thing that really probably limited how it's corners will be the tires. Heated and cooled front and rear seats. And I would say cooled is not ventilated. It's not just blows air. It actually cools you down. There are times where I had to turn it down because the seats are so cold. Excellent road trip car. Can't wait to take one on a road trip when it comes. Towing capacity, 7,716 pounds. Why that 16 pounds? Because in Europe, that's 3,500 kilograms. So it is maxed out. The most that it can do rated for in Europe. And that's a certain reason why they do it. I might cover that in a separate video, so subscribe if you want to see that. It's got plenty of power for me. 5-liter supercharged V8, 518 horsepower. But the thing is, when I drive it, I don't want to drive it like I drive the M. I just want to cruise with it. I just want to take my time and enjoy the comfort. In a sense, it's not a bad thing. With the BMW, yeah, I want to punch it every chance I get. I want to pass anybody, you know, and it's nice to be able to just to cruise, but knowing that I got that power available if I need to pass somebody. The look on these, I really love the updated look they did in these back in 2018. I think the only level you can go to a little bit more aggressive than this would be like an SVR, but I feel like this looks sort of close to it. I think SVR has bigger gills in here, everything else. And that's the reason why I didn't go with the SVR, because I come from an M, I wanted something a little bit more comfort. True four-wheel drive system, it's got a low range. I can do some true off-roading with this because of the low range four-wheel drive. Mark my words, I will get into that. I will find some event. I'm gonna try preferably by one hosted by Range Rover, because I don't want to just go off here and these construction sites and figure out there's some random pipe sticking out and I've then, you know, tore up my car. So I'd rather just wait until something appropriate, something set up. Plus, obviously, the dry grass, I don't want to cause a wildfire or anything like that. So trust me, I will do that. So let's get more into the car. I'll talk a little bit more about the exterior, interior features it has. A lot of features. All right. This key is a little bulky. Has some features on here. Lock, unlock. There's a trunk button, headlight button, and of course your panic button here. It's got Land Rover insignia branded on the back. Like I said, it is a little bit chunkier key than I would prefer for keys. Obviously you have your sensors in here. This is way, so I keep the key in my pocket. I can then touch here, lock it. See the mirrors fold in. I can unlock, and I can do the same thing for the rear door as well. With the headlight function, let's say for example, we all know about headlight delays, meaning when you park your vehicle at night, the headlight stays on for a certain amount of time. You know, imagine if you're parked at like a townhouse and you have to walk into the front door, and your front door is right there, and the headlights sort of give you a pathway lighting to make sure that, you know, you can see where you're going. But when you come back to the car, there's nothing else out there. Or if it goes off earlier than what you need, you can always turn it back on. So what this is, you hit this button, you can activate that anytime you like to activate the headlights. Okay, these are LED headlights. So that's at nighttime you should get a nice view. Optional is a automatic high beam. You have in here headlight washer. These are your daytime lights, and then you have a lower fog light down there. And this has front and rear fog light, which I'm gonna go into that in here in a second. Turn signals on the mirrors. In the back here, you got the Sport emblem supercharged. Like I said, the newer ones are the 2020s. They changed this to where it says just P525 HSE and whatever trim it has. You got the Land Rover badge. Now this is typically in green, but I changed it out to a black one. See here, you got a sprayer for your camera. So the rear camera get dirty, you can always clean it off. Rear wiper is hidden in the back. It's tucked in away into the rear spoiler. Like I said, and that does have a rear spoiler in here. Dual exhaust pipes. These are really the true exhaust. The true exhaust is actually hidden more into the rear bumper. So this is more fake surrounds, but you can see the exhaust right in there. You can see you got the towing hitch right there, and you got your 7-way and 4-pin light harnesses. Back here, the bottom lights right there. So you got the rear fog light, and then you have your tail light, and then brake light, reverse light right there. Range Rovers in general always had that swooping rear glass, that always had that strong slant. I think the Sport, personally, in a Range Rover line, looks the best between the Evoque and the full-size Range Rover. I just like how it looks. It just has that roof line that just really gives it a sporty look, how it slopes down. This color, well, obviously the black, and black windows, it really kind of gives you a little harder to tell exactly what's what you understand. But I really like this, I really do. You can see here, I don't know if you can see those lines. It's picking up in the light at all. This has the optional heated windshield. So there are little grid lines in here that heat the windshield internally. And I'll get into that more later in the video. Obviously there's a Land Rover badge. Here it was green, changed out to black. Tires are squared setup. These are the optional 22-inch wheels. Tire size is going to be a 275/40 ZR22. So let's get into it. So coming here, this is the, like I say, Eclipse Ebony. So you can see the black and blue trim. Who knows, maybe the previous owner was a police officer. Who knows, the black and blue. Door controls, the window controls are up here, way up high. You got the window controls. You have, you can drop the air suspension down to access height. You can do child locks, fold the mirrors, and then adjust your mirrors here. These things don't illuminate until the vehicle's on. So everything's all blacked out. Even the things on the steering wheel, all the controls are all blacked out because nothing is on. And as you go through different various settings and menus, certain things activate and illuminate on here. What's selectable. Got your rear hatch button in here. Got the giant speaker grill on this side. You got some part plastic areas. When you get to the autobiography trim, you get the option to get more full leather in here. Aluminum pedals. See here the interior. You got the black inserts here on the sides. The seats. Armrests. I feel like I don't even call these seats. I feel like I want to call these chairs, because when you're driving this and you feel like you said when you put this armrest down, you feel like you are it just gives you a nice feeling behind the wheel. Going back here, pretty much the same treatment here. It's got the leather right there, leather on sides of the doors, giant speaker grills. Of course, you got different speakers. This has got the optional 825 watt Meridian sound system. Got a little cubby storage right down there. Pocket. Back here you got seat controls, and I'll cover that a little bit later. Then you got a storage pocket in here, cup holder. Trunk area. I would say this looks like it's a tad bit smaller than what I got in the X5. You have option 2, got a 12-volt outlet in here. Got your spare. Got a full-size spare option in here. I don't think this has a full-size spare. I think this is a temporary spare tire. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, it's not a full-size spare, temporary use only. But you got your jacks and stuff back here. And that's pretty much it. There's one button here to shut the hatch. The hatch is programmable, meaning like my garage door, this can go a little higher, but I have it set to go this height because it will hit the top of my garage door with this. So I just have it set for this particular height. This hatch is also kick to open. Unlike most cars where you got to kick to open and stand behind the car, you can actually kick to open and stand. There's sensors on each side of it. So I had to stand on this side. I'm gonna kick, stand back, and see how it opens up. And I can do the same thing on the other side as well. So which is, I think is a nice, thoughtful idea. For one, it allows you to have a factory towing hitch here without losing that feature. All right, got one large check-in suitcase, one medium check-in suitcase, and then a carry-on suitcase. Had one more medium, but unfortunately that one got damaged. So last trip. So we'll see how this fits in. Right, so you can see it easily fits, accommodates. I can probably do even one more medium across here. I'd probably throw a stroller on top or bottom. With the SUVs, you probably get a little bit more room, especially if I take this away. Okay, so easily put in small travel stroller. I think a full-size stroller would probably struggle unless you take so many suitcases away, maybe 2, but Easily accommodate a family of 4, and make sure it closes. One jogging stroller fits in here just right. So 50-inch TV, seats had to go down, and see here how it's not completely level. They have a slight angle to them, and that should be it. And like I said, I talked about these doors. You got your seal down here. These doors are sealed, and then you got another seal down here as well. So way that you can wade in some water that's pretty deep, and I'll put that here in the bottom of the screen so you know the wading depth on here. When you get the blind spot monitor, you get the optional, this is a sensor that for your rear passenger, if they're inside the car, they'll know if a car's coming before they open the door. So the light will obviously give them an indication before they pull the door and open it so they don't hit anybody that's coming up. And that's after we park. All right, so getting into it, this is a normal height getting into this. And if I turn the engine on, I'll shut the door, see what happens. Steering wheel comes down towards me, my seat goes up. All right, so now when the door closes and you're ready to drive, the steering wheel comes down, the seat rises to your position. Just makes it easier now to drive, and this is sort of what I have. I have obviously power tilt and telescopic steering wheel. I have lumbar adjustments, backrest adjustments. All right, so coming in here, like I said, notice none of these are eliminated. I'm gonna put on the brake, start button. All right, now you see all of these options are there. So here you can go ahead and select, and when you select the mirrors or anything like that, you have the adjustability of having, you know which one is lit up. Your knob controls it. This right here folds mirrors in, and folds mirror. This is your child lock you can do. And then this is your access height. So you have one here, and then you have one right there. The light illuminates to tell us we're at access height right now. You can have it automatic. So if you go into the main cluster here, you can go over to, you can scroll over to convenience features, and then you have access height. That means is anytime this car is in park and the seatbelt comes off, it drops itself to a low height. Okay, I'm gonna cover these options here a little bit later in the video. Let's just go over sort of some other things. So if you do a phone call, you can save your store favorites here. You can listen to radio. You can turn it up by doing this with your hand. Obviously the menu. When I press menu to go into this menu, for example, now I can go through and it changes what I can do. You see how it's got the arrow instead of the scroll. If I go back out of it, and it goes back to different options. And the same thing on this side. Obviously you got your heated wheel, lane keep assist. So I will say one thing about this that I'm not liking is some things aren't as responsive. The screen here flickering on, it's not seeing, I'm not seeing it in real life, but when I look through the camera I see it, so just a refresh rate on the screen. But here you get your climate settings. This is your cabin air ionizer. This really runs the air through a special filter that cleans up the air if we turn it on. Heated windshield. And we notice here, there's heated windshield and then there's defroster. Difference between the two, this one blows the air. This is your typical one you're gonna use most, is turn this one on cold mornings to defrost the air to blow, to get the dew off or to defog the inside the windshield. This one is more for winter, and turning that one on, I don't know if you can tell, but there are lines in the windshield that run inside all through the windshield. Sometimes you can see them in certain light, but these lines internally heat the windshield. So driving winter, snow and ice, it probably would minimize any accumulation buildup on the wiper blades by keeping the windshield glass warm. All right. Here we went over the lights already. Get your automatic setting, headlights, head off, on, front fog light, rear fog light, those things like there. And of course you have your information you can cycle through. So I can go through here, change obviously my preferences, I mean, you know, things like that. Then let's say this instrument cluster, I don't like it. Let's say I can change it a little bit. Also this, let's see here. There we go. So display layout. You can go to a 2 dial, which I'm in right now. You can go to 1 dial, which then gives me, I can have driver assistance here, map there. Or if I the 2 dial setup, I can have the map in the middle. So I'll print what you want to have in the middle, and you can customize that all what you please. Or I can do full map. Now, this whole thing's a screen, and your speed there. So it's all depending on very, like, you know, early Audi-esque ways you can have this configured. And then on this side, you got your wipers. These are automatic wipers. You got your headlight washers, and of course, there's a washer on the rear camera. Yes, that's right, a washer on the rear camera. So if I'm spraying the rear wiper, it will then spray something on the rear camera so you can see better. You have basic, you can go your maps, you can go obviously your phone, music settings, Bluetooth, camera settings. 360 camera is not the best quality camera, I'll be honest, but you do have a lot of different options. You can see here on the sides, I can look here to see on each side of the car. A lot of different options for, I think, to be helpful for off-roading, so you don't mess up your wheels and tires, things like that. There we go. So now you see both sides. This is the left side of the car, right side of the car. Turn my wheel. You can see if I turn my wheel. So very helpful, especially if you have a spotter. Obviously your parking sensors, and then automatic parking be right there. Coming down to the lower screen, you can see radio information if you need to, phone information. And this is a cabin air ionizer, so this runs through a air purifier, essentially. By turning that on, it cleans the air up a little bit better. You got your seats. This, where I said, this is heated and cooled seats. So you can turn these on right here. And by turning the dial, you have 3 different settings. So I can go to the other side and go to cooled seats if I want to. Or anytime I'm in the menu, I can just press this right here, push for seats. Now, cooled seats. And I say when I say cooled seats, I really mean it. I've had cars with ventilated seats before. There's blows air. There's blows a little bit of air, but I feel like the seat gets cold. I feel like it's chilled. It's a different feeling of any other car I experienced. It really cold. The seat gets cold to the point where I have to reduce it. Then of course here you have all your settings. You have obviously your different programs: dynamic, eco, sport, or sorry, eco and comfort. Comfort would be default. And if you don't like it, you can cycle through here, these menus. If you don't touch your screen, you can turn a knob. But when you go to these programs, it changes your information too, what's going to show up on there. So that's your lock, the rear differential lock and your center lock. That's the sand program. I think these locks are automatically selected based on wheel slip, so you don't have to do anything manually, but it just means that now the vehicle's gonna be more ready to lock up. Rock crawl program, and it tells me to select low range, and this has a low range 4-wheel drive, so there's a true 4-wheel drive system. And the lower range, obviously you go to neutral, and then you should engage it that way. All right, now, because I selected low range, hill descent control is activated automatically. And I feel the Range Rover raising up to a height is raising itself up. I didn't do anything differently, by doing that. Hill descent control, it is, just to give you an idea, you see the suspension articulation on here. This thing is pretty good. Like I want to do some light off-roading with this just to be sure of what this thing can do. But the fact that I had to do is just select the program and it did everything for me, it's pretty good. Now, of course, I get out of low range. Let me go back over to a different program. Let me see if I go to comfort. Get out of low range. Take it off so you can hear it engage. And when it engages, you get a light that says low right there. And this right here tells me that I'm in max height. Let me get out of this menu. Let's go to this display layout. So it's got a low range. Okay. And then this right here, this is, so that's some other options. So now we're back down in this area. 2 cup holders. Got a deep storage area down here with a plug, 12-volt outlet there. And that's it down in this area. Here, I covered a little bit before, but when you're in drive, you can go over to reverse and park. One thing that I wish that it had a brake hold. There is no brake hold function. I tried pressing the brake pedal all the way down. I tried looking at settings. There is no brake hold option. That's one thing I do miss about my X5. When you're in drive, you can come over here to sport, traction control, off. This right here is, think of it like Toyota's crawl control. You know, Toyotas have crawl control. This is your auto, basically your low speed off-road cruise control. So what it'll do is you set the speed, and then the Range Rover then will maintain a constant speed. So all you do is focus on steering. Any wheel slip like that, it's going to manage it for you, and it just maintains the speed like that. So you don't have to worry about doing much as far as throttle control. This is your air suspension settings. This right now is telling me I'm in off-road height. When the light's in right there in the middle, that's telling me I'm in the medium height. And then this right here is access height. Access height, there's a lock there. Pressing and holding it gives me the option to where it will stay in low height until I think 25 miles an hour. So that's if you need to clear underneath the obstacle. Just be mindful that the right height is going to be very rough. Off-road height will stay there at 50 miles an hour. I think at that point it then decreases to your normal height. And I think any height when you're driving at 65, 30 miles an hour, I believe it lowers itself just a little bit for fuel efficiency. Okay. Then of course this knob here selects all your different off-road terrain modes. All right. When you press this button here, automatic. So then that point is going to automatically do it for you. I think this is probably the most commonly used mode, is just automatic. That way you don't have to do anything else. Comfort, dynamic, all that stuff is going to be selected based on your driving habits and what the suspension feels like it needs. So obviously parking brake. So it's released. Come in here, get your SIM card. It's got what else you have? You have a USB type A. And this part here, I'm gonna show you this. That's the refrigerator, not a cooler. This is a true refrigerator. You turn it on by pressing this, and this thing will get cold. Right now it feels it's warm in here, nothing is in here. So you can choose, if you don't need the refrigerator, you can obviously use it for storage. And I can hear the compressor kicked on. This is a real compressor that's kicking on in here. You got 2 different levels. I'm gonna have to measure with my infrared guns to tell you just how cold this thing will get. So, kid snacks, baby snacks, or anything like that, you need to keep chilled, bottles, right there. Perfect for road trips. And of course there's like a little card holder right in here. Got 3 position memory seats. And of course you got your lock, unlock. This got the aluminum hexagon trim in here, which is an option. I think goes well with this interior package. In fact, the show, also the passenger side, also gets memory seats as well. Helpful if you have a car seat back there, you don't have to worry about setting that position. I can lock into a certain memory. 2 glove boxes. Got a lower, and you got an upper glove box as well. This one has an optional CD player, so it's sitting here. When you go up top, you got an automatic dimming rear mirror. Both side view mirrors dim as well. You got your garage door opener, and then up here we have sunroof option. We have sunshade option. The sunshade can also be gesture controlled. So by moving my hand like this, it opens the sunshade up. I can bring my hand anytime and stop it, or I can do this way to close it up. I can also tilt the sunroof, or I can have it go above. Then this right here, I have let's like call for service or something here. I don't know what that button will do. And then there's something else. Then there's right here for emergency services, like your OnStar. Okay. Vanity right here. And what's cool about these, you got this on the side, which most cars can do. But then you have one here. It's pretty cool. You got two, if the the sun's a thing. And like I say, both sides get that same feature. Putting it through reverse. Back of the camera, it's got the guidance lines. So you get RPM gauge when you're in dynamic mode. You go back to any normal mode, it goes away. Your speed limit. Got your driver assistance information, so I drift out of my lane. When you're in your off-road programs, you can see your wheels, turning angles, so you always keep your basically your head outside looking out and kind of know which way your wheels are pointing. Helps when you don't have a spotter. Of course, you got your differential locks in here. Now I can see the suspension articulation. All right, jump to the back seat. And like I said, I'll sit back here, but also I can recline and go a little bit further back if I like. So I think that's something, just gives it an extra little touch. Since I couldn't find, my first X5 I had it, second X5 I couldn't do it. So something else I would like to see more in this, in the X5s, come back to it. All right, the back seat, I just feel really comfortable in here. I got an air vent right there. I got an air vent down here in the center. I think this is cool that the vent placement's there, because the car seat, having that right here is vital for having the airflow for the baby. Got two speakers, but I feel like I could definitely take a nice comfortable trip in this thing and just feel like I could sit here for hours and hours. I don't feel like I'm shortchanged from being in the back seat. All right, I can't imagine what the full size Range Rover is like. I mean, that's like your most luxury you can get. This is a sport model, so it's a little bit, doesn't have all the luxury things on here, but I like it so far. Let's see what we got for, since it has the climate control pack, or the climate zone pack, whatever they call it. Climate comfort pack is what they call it. I get obviously settings where I can change the airflow. Each person can do their settings that way. I can change, and I want cold seats there, and the seat, you can hear it blowing air, and the seat starts to cool down. Oh, you got to turn it back off. And I can do heated seats. And the same thing for the rear passenger as well. They get the same option. But I have two USB-A ports back here, and then I have a traditional plug down here, and then there's a 12 volt right there. And then as a driver up here, if I got a kid back here that's playing with the buttons, I can go into the climate, hit the rear, and what I can do, I can also change their settings for the rear seats, or I can just lock them out altogether and saying no one gets access to that except me. And then at that point, I can control them out. I can lock them out. And like I said, about the room, you got your window controls, you got door lock controls, and you notice here with the driver assistance package, the blind spot, that there's a light that came on here. So it tells me, and it'll flash me a warning right now, it's clear, but use the blind spot monitor to tell me if there's a bicycle or a car approaching, that it might not be safe to open the rear door. The air vents are located up here. I like that the air vents are here as opposed to here, especially when you got a car seat. That means like the rear facing car seat, it's never gonna get the airflow. It's gonna hit the back of the car seat. This way that your child can still get some airflow right there. You got a reading light back up here. All it is this touch. And if I want to shut this vent, I can do that too. Got a handle down here. There's also vents back here too. I'm assuming if you had like a third row seat, that's where that vent would be for. Headrest adjustable. This is a really good car. I know that people are gonna like it, but I think for a family car, this one checks all the boxes, most of the boxes for me. All right, here it is with the baby seat. You can see how much room that I have between the front seat and the rear facing seat. All right, now you still see the same car seat that's in there. I'm gonna jump into the front seat. All right. So I got plenty of space up here. More than the X3. I would say it's pretty close to what I get in the X5. Let's take a measurement. All right, so 5 inches. Decent amount of room. I'm not feel like I'm sitting up close to it. Feels like I can actually tolerate a trip in here. And again, you get the armrest, you get the same treatment as the front seat. So it definitely feels relaxing to be here. All right, so this engine is I think this is a Jaguar Land Rover engine. It is 5-liter V8 supercharged, 518 horsepower, and then it's 461 pound-feet of torque. Now, I know that some of the turbocharged cars I've reviewed, like the BMWs and stuff, I know that their engines make a little bit more torque at low RPM, but I think this one peaks at 2,500, mainly because the supercharger, you need a little bit of power to make power, so the peak of the supercharger is going to be at a higher RPM, but still lower than what it would be for a naturally aspirated vehicle. This all translates to a mile per gallon of 17 city, 22 on the highway. So pretty good mile per gallon, especially for the V8 engine. You see here you got 2 hood latches here for, that's something that you see in the European cars, 2 double hood latch. And what's cool about these intakes is when you're driving through deep water, the car can suck in air through these top gills. So almost like I have a snorkel. So one thing I realized that I have active grille shutters back here. That is something I just realized here, but you can see them, that's open right now. I'll turn this off. And there you go, the shutter's closed. Honestly, I did not. I never thought, like, what is the hype about Range Rovers? You know, I thought, okay, they're nice cars, but I never said, you know what, I want to own one. I think I reviewed one on the channel back in 2019, maybe. But that was, you know, I liked it, but I didn't want to give them an X5 for it. And I said, now so much has changed to where I feel like, I think I might want to get rid of my X5 now. And I ended up trading it in, or not trading in, but I ended up selling my X5 and getting this. So let's go ahead and let's go to the vehicle, and let's go to dynamic program, and we'll go to sport mode, and we'll just punch it. So shifts sound slow, but they give you a little bark or a roar between the gear shifts. It's different than what I was not expecting from this. And this thing really comes to life. I think that's what I like. It's like I could cruise around, but if I want to step on it, I can. And this thing just is strong. It pulls. It's a different feel than what I get in the X5. I think because it's so, like, it's, you know, the British roar. You know, it's just like commanding sound too. Now I will tell you this: if you feel the weight in this, you feel the weight, especially on some of the braking areas. I noticed, like, oh, this thing is carrying a lot of momentum, and you press the brake down, and it's not like, wow, find a BMW where it's like, all right, it's halting me down pretty good. It's like, whoa, it's taking me a second I got to really put the brakes on this thing to get this thing hauled back down. But let's take it in a couple of corners. One 20 miles an hour, and I am putting the brakes on. I don't think that's going to see. So you can have a little fun with this. Let's take a look at the headlights. So let's do headlights first. All right. We got the parking lights, got off, back in automatic. Turn signals. Put it in drive. I get day turn lights, so day run lights are on. Turn signals, you'll see how they activate. See right there. And the headlights, always turn off the DRLs. And then also if I turn the headlights on, you get the fog lights in the front. And then obviously you got your high beam. And then obviously you turn the high beam on, the fog lights turn off. You know, like most cars, you get the flash. And then of course, flash to pass. All right, let's hear the horn sounds. Let's take a look at the rear. All right, so brake lights. Lights are off. Brake lights, reverse lights. Turn signals. And then tail lights and turn signal. And then I can turn on the rear fog light as well. So rear fog lights are going to be on the bottom. All right, so here's the regular ride height, or sorry, here's the off-road ride height. And if I go to next to below, this is normal. So this is what I would think this is your normal ride height. And then of course, if you need access height, it's going to be here. So I can set it manually, or I can set it where it parks itself. It opens the door. I usually have right now on that setting because my wife is short, so she gets in and out. It's a little bit easier for her. I don't have to press the button each time. So that's the lowest setting it goes.